You've been told women want honesty, but no one told you what kind of honesty actually makes them feel something. And the moment you understand this, you stop chasing and start becoming the man they can't ignore. Let me tell you something most men never hear, not because it's hidden, but because it's uncomfortable. Women don't respond to effort the way you think they do. You can text her all day. You can compliment her. You can show up consistently, be kind, be respectful, do everything right, and still feel like something is missing. Like she's there, but not fully there. That's because attraction doesn't grow from effort alone. It grows from emotional impact. And here's the first truth she will never say out loud. She wants you to challenge her, emotionally, not aggressively, but in a way that makes her feel something real. Most men play it safe. They agree too much. They avoid tension. They think being easygoing will make her comfortable. But what actually happens is something dangerous. You become predictable, and predictable doesn't create emotional movement. Now understand this clearly. This isn't about being rude, dismissive, or dominant in a toxic way. It's about having a spine, a perspective, a presence that doesn't bend just to keep her approval. Because when you always agree, she stops respecting your voice. When you hold your ground calmly, without anger, without ego, you create a different kind of energy. One that says, I see you, but I also see myself. And ser for my ear finds Brunstein back. And that's where attraction starts to shift. She may not say it, but she feels it. That slight tension when you don't immediately validate her. That curiosity when you respond with your own opinion instead of mirroring hers. That spark when she realizes you're not trying to win her, you're just being real. And real is rare. You see, deep down, she doesn't want a man who avoids friction. She wants a man who can handle it without losing control of himself. Because that signals strength, not loud strength. Not aggressive strength, controlled strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything, but isn't afraid to stand alone. And when she feels that from you, something shifts internally. She leans in, not because you chased her, but because you gave her something she couldn't predict. And in a world where she's used to men trying too hard, the man who doesn't becomes unforgettable. There's a second thing she craves, and this one confuses men the most because it looks like distance, but it feels like depth. She wants you to slow down, not your ambition, not your life, your reactions. Most men move too fast emotionally. They feel something and they immediately express it. They get excited and they flood her with attention. They sense a connection and they try to lock it in before it even has space to breathe. And without realizing it, they suffocate the very thing they're trying to build. Here's what she won't say out loud. She trusts a man more when he doesn't rush her, because rushing signals something underneath: fear of losing her, fear of not being enough, fear of time running out. And fear, even when it's hidden behind kindness or enthusiasm, changes how she experiences you. It makes things feel heavy. But when you slow down, when you take your time to respond, to open up, to invest, you create something very different. You create emotional space. And inside that space, attraction grows naturally. She starts to feel like she's discovering you instead of being overwhelmed by you. She begins to wonder about you instead of having everything handed to her immediately. And that wondering, that curiosity, is where emotional pull is born. Older men often understand this without being taught. They've learned that not every moment needs to be filled. That silence isn't awkward, it's powerful. That tension, when it's calm and controlled, actually deepens connection. So when you don't reply instantly, not out of strategy, but because you're genuinely living your life, she feels that. When you don't reveal everything about yourself in one conversation, she feels that too. And slowly, something shifts. Instead of you chasing clarity, she starts seeking it. Instead of you trying to impress her, she starts trying to understand you. Because now there's space for her to invest. And this is where most men fail. They give everything up front and leave nothing to discover. But attraction isn't built on having all the answers. It's built on the desire to keep exploring. When you pace yourself emotionally, you send a message without saying a word. I'm not in a rush. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here to experience this moment as it unfolds. And that calm pacing, it relaxes her while at the same time pulling her in. Because now she's not being pushed into something. She's choosing to move toward it. And choice always feels stronger than pressure. So if you want to stand out in a world full of men who move too fast, say too much, and try too hard, learn this. The man who controls the pace controls the emotional direction, not by force, but by presence. There's another truth she carries quietly, one that rarely gets spoken because it sounds almost contradictory. She wants you to lead, but not control. And most men don't understand the difference. They either become passive, waiting for her to decide everything, asking for permission at every step, or they swing the other way and try to dominate the dynamic, thinking that's what confidence looks like. Both miss the mark, because what she actually responds to is clarity, not loud direction. Not forceful behavior, calm, grounded clarity, the kind that shows in small moments. You suggest a plan without over-explaining. You make decisions without needing approval for every detail. You move things forward without dragging her into endless, what do you want to do? And loops. And something subtle happens when you do this. She relaxes, because decision fatigue disappears, because uncertainty fades, because she no longer feels like she has to carry the interaction on her shoulders. Here's what she won't say. She feels more feminine around a man who knows where he's going, not because she's weak, not because she can't decide for herself, but because your clarity gives her permission to step out of constant control and simply experience the moment. But there's a line, and it matters. The moment your leadership starts feeling like pressure, expectation, or control, attraction drops. Because now she doesn't feel guided, she feels managed, and no one is drawn to that. So the difference comes down to this. Control tries to force an outcome. Leadership invites her into one. When you say, let's go here, I think you'll like it, with ease and confidence, that feels attractive. When you say it with tension, needing her to agree so you feel validated, that feels heavy. She reads the energy, not just the words. Older men, especially those who've built something of themselves, often carry this naturally. They're used to making decisions. They've navigated real-life situations. They don't hesitate as much, and they don't second-guess every move. And that decisiveness, it translates. It shows up in how you walk into a room, how you handle changes in plans, how you respond when things don't go perfectly. You don't panic. You adjust. And that ability to stay composed while still moving forward creates a sense of trust that goes deeper than attraction. Because now she's not just feeling drawn to you, she's feeling safe following your lead, not blindly, but willingly. And that willingness is powerful because it means she's not resisting you. She's aligning with you. And alignment is where real connection starts to build. Not from forcing dynamics, but from creating a space where she wants to meet you halfway without being asked. There's one final truth, and this is the one that lingers in her mind long after you're gone. It's not what you say. It's what you don't chase. Most men reveal everything too quickly, their feelings, their intentions, their need for reassurance. They think transparency builds connection, and while honesty matters, timing matters more. Because when you give everything away too soon, you remove the space where attraction breathes. Here's what she won't say out loud. She's drawn to a man who has depth she hasn't fully uncovered yet. Not mystery for the sake of games. Not emotional unavailability. But layers. A sense that there's more to you than what's immediately visible. When you don't feel the need to explain every thought, when you don't rush to define everything, when you allow moments to exist without labeling them, you create something rare. Emotional intrigue. And intrigue is powerful because it engages her mind. She starts thinking about you when you're not around, replaying your words, wondering what you meant, feeling the weight of what you didn't say just as much as what you did. That's not manipulation, that's restraint. And restraint is something most men never develop because it requires self-control. It requires comfort with silence. It requires confidence that you don't need to fill every gap to keep her attention. You let the moment land. You let her feel. You let her come to you. And in doing that, you shift the entire dynamic. Now she's not just reacting to you. She's engaging with you. Not just receiving, but investing. Because you didn't overwhelm her. You gave her space to experience you. And that experience becomes emotional memory. She remembers how calm you were, how you didn't rush, how you didn't need to prove anything. How there was always a sense that you were grounded in something deeper than the interaction itself. That feeling, it doesn't fade easily. It becomes something she compares others to, and most won't match it. So everything comes back to this. You didn't try to be perfect. You didn't try to say all the right things. You didn't try to force connection. You stayed centered, measured, present, and that's what made the difference. So let me ask you something, and I want you to answer this honestly in the comments. What is stronger in your life right now? Your need for approval or your control over yourself? Think about that. Because the more control you have over yourself, your reactions, your pace, your energy, the less you'll need validation from anyone else. If this hit you deeper than you expected, write your answer below. I read every one. Like the video if this gave you clarity. Subscribe if you're ready to understand dynamics most men overlook. And share this with someone who's still trying too hard, when the real power was always in doing less, but doing it right.